It's not unusual for women, especially in our culture, to constantly be obsessing over outer appearance, putting on flawless makeup and picking out whatever perfect outfit to wear depending on the place and occasion. We put a lot of thought into what we will wear on the outer woman, but how much thought do we put into what we will wear on the inner woman? I mean, how many of you woke up thinking, what should I put on the inner woman? Or how can I love my family more tomorrow? Or how can I manifest a spirit of forgiveness toward that relative who did that awful thing to me? How much time do we spend every day getting our physical body dressed and ready to go in comparison to the time and mental energy we spend on getting our spiritual woman ready to go? And what makes a beautiful inner woman anyway? Colossians 3:12 says, "So, as those who have been chosen of God, holy and beloved, put on a heart of compassion, kindness, humility, gentleness, and patience." This is saying you are the elect of God and you have been chosen, so you need to act like it and put on certain things and resemble the Lord. And because we are elected and to be holy, part of the fruit that we should be bearing should be beautiful and holy. We should be clothed with the mind of Christ. So the very first virtue we should put on is heartfelt compassion. As you walk this life and you see people that are hurting, then heartfelt compassion will make you want to do something about it. Don't become hardened to the hurts of other people. And the next virtue is kindness. This means someone who is gentle and gracious. We are to be kind, and not just to our best friends. Be kind to those who never do good and are honestly just evil. Luke 6:35 says, "But love your enemies and do good and lend. Expect nothing in return, and your reward will be great, and you will be sons of the Most High. And He Himself is kind to ungrateful and evil people." And Proverbs 31:26 says, "She opens her mouth in wisdom, and the teaching of kindness is on her tongue." Sometimes we just need to listen to ourselves and see if we actually have a kind tone of voice. You know, my husband, this is the one thing he says to me. He will say, "Anna, it's not what you say, it's how you say it." And believe it or not, that is something that I am working on all the time right now. The next virtue we should be putting on is humility. This one is one of my favorites, and I personally pray for humility all of the time. And if you've not watched my video on humility, I will be sure to put that in the description below. It's one of my favorite topics. Humility is a person who doesn't think highly of themselves, or honestly really doesn't think much of themselves at all. This is so counterintuitive to the world that we live in. There is not a lot of humility in this world. People are obsessed with themselves and obsessed with what they want and how they're going to get it. And honestly, it's just not about us. It's about God. And we are sinners, and we should be able to see how wretched that we really are. The fourth virtue we are to wear is meekness, or some translations may say gentleness. Gentleness is an inner grace of our soul. It's a spirit in which we accept God's dealings with us as good without disputing Him or resisting Him, even when we are not treated good. But let me be clear that meekness is not weakness, though. It is strength under control. This is a virtue that should be in our friendships and in our marriages. Scripture says we can even win over our unbelieving husbands with a gentle and quiet spirit, and that is what our adornment is, and it is beautiful and precious in the sight of God. The fifth quality is patience. This word describes a person who does not easily get provoked by others and does not easily get angry. This is a woman who refuses to yield to passions or allow people to get under her skin. This is something that I've seen women do, getting overly passionate about a topic they feel particularly triggered by and say awful things and react in honestly just embarrassing ways. And this is not a beautiful way to conduct ourselves. So if you are someone who is like that, then I would say definitely put the prayer of patience on your list. Colossians 3:13 says, bearing with one another and forgiving each other. Whoever has a complaint against anyone, just as the Lord forgave you, so must you do also. The sixth characteristic we are to put on is bearing with one another. Bearing means holding out or enduring when burdens are heaped up. This can be difficult when we are in a difficult marriage or we are not seeing eye to eye with someone. The seventh characteristic we are to clothe ourselves in is forgiveness. This one is usually the hardest for most people. Forgiveness is an act of excusing someone else in spite of their sin, and it is shown with a gracious and kind spirit. In the same degree that Christ forgave you, you are to forgive others. And Christ forgave us fully and completely for every single sin. So at this point, we have put on compassion, kindness, humility, gentleness, and patience and forgiveness. But there is one more article of clothing that we have not put on yet, and that is love. Scripture says, "But above all things, put on love, which is the bond of perfection. The same love God shows toward you. It's the uniting principle that holds all the previous virtues together and makes them usable and work. When you practice compassion, kindness, humility, gentleness, and patience and forgiveness, but do not have love, then it means absolutely nothing. Because God looks at our hearts. Man looks at the facade and the outward appearance, and you can fake all these qualities every day to be praised by people around you, but at the end of the day, you aren't going to fool the Lord. And with all of that said, I leave you with 1 Corinthians. This is such a good verse to memorize and have constantly in the back of your head. It says, "If I speak in the tongues of men or of angels, but do not have love, I am only a resounding gong or a clanging cymbal." If you love this video and would like to see more encouraging godly content, go ahead and hit that subscribe button and hit the little bell notification so you also never miss a message. My name is Anna, and I curate biblically sound videos for women to advocate for Jesus and the beauty of traditional homemaking.